Hey guys, my name is Dan Alcorn. I'm Greg Askew, and this month we're going to talk about proper setup for the deadlift. So today we're going to focus on 3 points of performance in order to maximize your setup. The first of which being your foot position, since that's your connection point to the ground. The second is going to be your pelvic position, since that's the center and focal point of the entire body. And the third is going to be the upper extremity setting to make sure that you're pulling from a stable position. So with your setup for any lift, we want to make sure that you're consistent, so each time you're able to reproduce the same efforts and take away all the added stressors, especially when you're getting into high reps into a workout. So with Greg, we're going to focus on a bottom-up approach, starting in his feet. And what we want to focus on with Greg is that he is keeping his weight centered over the middle of his foot. Thinking about that tripod of the foot between the big toe, the pinky toe, and the heel, we want all of his weight centered over those 3 points. So Greg is going to shift his weight forward over that position. Alright, so part 2 of the setup, we're now going to focus on Greg's pelvis. He's already centered over the middle of his foot, so he's going to go down and adjust the bar. So from here, we want to make sure that Greg is in what we call a neutral pelvis position. This is the focal point of the whole body. We want to make sure it's stable. So to start out, Greg's in a little bit of what we call a posterior pelvic tilt, or that pooping dog syndrome. I'm going to take a cue from Danny CFA, which is peeing on the floor, to bring your pelvis forward into neutral. So Greg is going to pull himself forward into that neutral position and flatten out that spine. Okay, you can take a break. Alright, so when Greg sets his pelvis, the next thing we want to do is move further up the chain and stabilize through the upper extremity. Alright, so set your pelvis, pee on the floor. There we go. We're flat through the lumbar spine. Now what he's going to do is he's going to posteriorly tilt his shoulder blades to engage all the stabilizers of the back and the upper extremity. From here, he's taken the tension out of the bar into his arms, and he's now in a stable pulling position to initiate the pull. Okay, you can take a break. So the 3 points of performance are going to be centering your weight over your midfoot, bringing your pelvis into a neutral position either by peeing on the floor or posteriorly tilting into neutral, depending on where your fault is. If you're seeing that flexion fall through here, you're going to want to pee on the floor. From there, what he's going to do is slightly posteriorly tilt his scapula to stabilize the back of his arm and bring tension out of the bar. Okay, so we talked about the 3 points of performance. Now we want to see Greg actually go through the lift and put this all into play. So Greg's going to sit up on the bar. He's going to pee on the floor, bring that pelvis into a neutral position, flatten out the back into the neutral spine. Then he's going to pre-tension his hamstrings to make sure he's loading them instead of his back. We're going to have him show his chest just a little bit so we can see the writing on the front of his shirt. And now, lifting hips and shoulders together, he's going to initiate the lift. Good. And then sliding it back down the front of the thighs. Stable throughout, not breaking at any individual segment. Okay, take a break. So the deadlift is a very complicated lift. There's been books that have been dedicated entirely to performance on the deadlift. So we want to try to simplify this as much as possible with these 3 cues. The first is on your foot position, keeping your weight over the center of your foot. Your second is on your pelvis position, keeping it in neutral, using that peeing on the floor cue to get you onto that rounded position in the bottom. What this is also going to do is going to reinforce you to pre-tension the hamstrings, because that's going to be really important to the lift. Finally, it's going to be setting your shoulder blade with that posterior tilt of the scapula to engage all the muscles that stabilize the arm. If you can achieve this, you're going to maximize your setup to pull from the floor in a safe position and get better lifts.